I was so burned out and I was barely home. He told me that he felt very sad that he was not able to go back to sleep anymore and he was just crying on his pillow. So that was the turning point. Enough is enough. I was not really the yelling type. I do not explode. I implode and I don't feel, mom enough for my kids. Whenever I come home, I'm physically present, but I'm not there really emotionally for them. Abandonment is abandonment in a kid's mind.
Oh my goodness, I still need to breathe. Hi, Zen Supermom. Welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast. This episode is, I say it all the time, special, but you will understand why this episode is so special. Because this is not just an interview chat with a woman who healed and now she saw the impact of that healing, not just in her own life, but also for her two sons. But this is a person who is also part of my team, and that's how we met. We met because I had an opening on my team and she wanted to take the job. And so we are in this chat, she's describing both of this, how her healing path was developing and having an impact on the job, on her work life, and how that actually reflected her past professional life, how it reflected everything that she was still struggling with, and how she healed not just that, but now her entire life, and her key trauma from her childhood being people pleaser. Hey, anybody there struggling still with the people pleaser voices in your head? Struggling with saying no when you say you should? Or then even saying no, but feeling so guilty that you're imploding, which is what Ruby's story was. She did not yell, she was not exploding outwards and taking that anger and stress outside, but she was imploding, she was eating herself up with guilt and she was burning out. So her story is just such a beautiful inspiration. So I'm not going to spoil it for you by sharing anything more. You need to go and listen to this because I dare you not to cry. I had a hard time staying cool and grounded. Even before I turned the recording button on, I was almost tearing up. So enjoy this story. Take it as a ray of hope what's possible once you heal, because you will see her shine. It's amazing. And I would wish that you do whatever you need to do so that you start shining in a similar way. Wouldn't that be fun? So, without any further ado, come meet Ruby with me. Hey, and welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast, Ruby. Happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. Oh my gosh.
So, this is going to be different, right? Because you're my wizard. You're part of my amazing team, the one responsible for editing this podcast and throwing all of my words and turning them into all of this beautiful content on social media that I'm so grateful for that you're doing that. And so my first question is just to get settled, because your story is going to be different because of that. You're not just a Zen supermom on your healing path. You're part of my team. So I'm curious,
Yes.
first, let's kick it off with this just grounding. How are you feeling being on the other side of the microphone? Not the one in the background, but the one who's actually taking the center stage today.
Well, it's actually very humbling because I've only seen these episodes through my screen before. And, cutting all these episodes before, all these testimonies and hearing all these amazing stories. And now it's gonna be me saying all of these things and, hopefully sharing my own story into the world and helping all these beautiful moms out there who love who had so much who they love their kids so much. That's a given, and um it's the story that I really wanted to tell the world, right
And
now.
thank you so much. And I really appreciate your courage because, especially for you as an introvert, as normally like the shy, quiet flower in the corner of the room, you taking the front stage and actually speaking to people that you will probably never meet. It's not to be underestimated, the level of your courage. So thank you so much in advance. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So
Thank
let's
you.
start at the beginning. As you know, because you're editing all of these podcast episodes for the last 6 months, you know that I always start every sharing of a mom who comes here with how the point where she was when she met me. So even though your starting point was different because you were not joining through some free training because you were yelling at your kids, you met me because I was looking for somebody to help me on my team with the role you're doing today. But that's the story in parallel, right? You were starting at my
Yeah.
team, but because I always want my team to go through the healing themselves so that you're not just like mechanically doing the tasks and being here because a job that pays your bills. I want all of the members of my team to actually experience firsthand what we are doing so that you know what work and what an impact it has. So to the extent that you feel comfortable sharing, but I would like to hear from you, like, where were you 6 months ago before we met or as we met?
Yeah. Okay. So let's start maybe a little further back
Yep.
beyond the 6 months. I was so burned out coming from my previous job of event organizing. And on top of that, I was barely home all year round. So my kids, they were left here at home for about 2 years with their dad. And I would always be traveling and burning myself out because of my job. Um, Hyperachiever and stickler, people pleaser. That was me. And then it came to the point when last year, October, I think, my son told me that, Mom, um, as you were leaving, before it was before dawn, I had to catch a flight at 5 in the morning and I had to leave 3 a.m. And he told me that as he was sending me off and waving goodbye, he felt really sad, very sad that he was not able to go back to sleep anymore. And he was just crying on his pillow. And I was reading this message about to board the airplane, and I was feeling like, oh no, oh my gosh, I feel like I have this huge responsibility at work and I have to board this plane, but at the same time, my inner, in my heart, I don't want to board the plane. I need to go home and, be with my son. And so that was the turning point when I told myself that enough is enough. If if I will, spend my time working, burning myself out in this type of work, then is it really worth, leaving my sons at home? And so I decided at that time to tell my boss that I will be quitting and I will be, you know, um, working with her just until December. And then Ceci, my best friend, she told me that, you know what, come work with me because Elena is looking for a social media editor and I think you would be perfect for the job. Yeah. So basically from last year's burned out mom, barely home, I was not really the yelling type, but it was more of I implode. I do not explode. I implode and I feel so guilty about it because I feel like it's destroying me piece by piece inside and I don't feel mom enough for my kids. Whenever I come home for 2 or 3 days that I'm home, I'm not present. I'm physically present, but I'm not there really emotionally for them. Because I broke myself inside. trying to catch up with the deadlines and performing really well in my job and being a mom at the same time, all these pressures. So that was me before January.
Heartbreaking. And I remember parts of your story still as you were sharing it, and Sassy was sharing it also with me as she was mentioning your name. And so that's why my first concern bringing you on board was actually we need to manage your burnout so that like we make sure that you're not getting yourself in a similar situation, because with all of my team, we are playing the long-term game. I don't want to burn anybody. I don't want to squeeze them like a lemon, and then throw away after half a year. So this was another reason why, just like with any other team member, but with you even more, I really wanted you to have the experience of the Zen Supermom program because I knew it was going to help you so much. But before we even get there, I really, from the story that you shared, I feel like this is such a great inspiration for any moms who are listening here, who feel the disconnect between the work and like having to do the job just to like support the family, but then seeing the impact on the kids, on your own mental health, like that it's not working. And the fact that you had the courage, you had the awareness, and you had the courage to say, actually, like, no, stop, this is not worth it. I have no idea what I'm going to do next, but I'm going to figure it out as I go. But this right now, my family and my mental health is my priority. And I choose to stop before I'm forced, before I break down and implode to the level that like I need to check in a hospital, basically. The fact that you did it, you had the courage, I feel like this needs to be highlighted because this is a huge part of your story and it showcases your strength so much. So amazing, like well done, well done. I'm so happy you did that because that led you to me, so that's fantastic. Okay, let's take a breath. This was heavy. Whew. Okay, so you joined my team, we gave you access to the program, and we even hooked you up with
Yes.
one of the new upcoming Zen Supermom coach, so you started your one-on-one sessions as well. So even though you were not outwardly exploding yelling Momzilla as you just shared, like you were more imploding inside with the guilt. So how was like what was different about this? How was your experience of doing this process?
Um, the the huge amount of myself. I think about 80% of my personality is a people pleaser. And I'm really well aware of that. Even before, maybe 2 years ago, I already know that I'm a huge people pleaser. And I really think it was just part of my personality. I never thought that it was, some kind of a coping mechanism with the trauma that I had when I was a child. And and during the first two sessions with my coach, we were able to identify the this like I always picture it out as a huge tree. And I was able to uproot that tree, that people pleaser tree within me by doing my belief closet with my coach. She walked me through all of these imaginary house. You build your own house, you build your own place where you feel comfortable, where you feel safe, and it's yours. You can do whatever you want there. You can add things up, you can, destroy things if you want, and you can change things up a bit. And the most important part of this house is the belief closet. And until now, I often visit my belief closet, and it's a really huge part of me um, that that was taken out because of this. Because I discovered that I have power to discreate all these beliefs, including the people pleaser in me, the huge people pleaser in me. I can really, discreate it and, throw it out, burn it, give it back, whatever, yeah, I want to do about it, as long as it is not within me anymore. Yeah. And I felt so light. I felt so refreshed. after just 2 sessions, I felt like the healing came just after 2 sessions, because the the thing is, the people pleaser in me had me chained in this sort of, it's like pulling me back into doing, a lot of things that I want to do, because it's constantly telling me in my head, like, would he be pleased about this? Would he like it? Would would they be okay with it? And so I would hold myself back and cater to everybody's wants and needs, instead of just, doing it whatever, however way I want, right?
Beautiful.
So yeah, so it was a huge, like, tree that was taken out from my whole persona in just 2 sessions. And I remember feeling so lightheaded. And I asked Ceci about this, and I told her that I feel nauseous. I feel like a day after, I did not have enough energy, and then she said it's normal. You know what? Because you just took out a huge part of yourself, the negative side that you don't need anymore in your life, and you are trying to rebuild yourself in a more positive way right now. So it's okay to feel that way. You're safe, you're good, and I'm so excited to see the new you. And it was, for me, it was the thought of, being excited for a brand new me. I was looking forward to that. And looking back from this day, from this June day, looking back, I can say that I've come a really, really long way since that day, since that January day. And that person back there, I would probably tell her, you know what? It was a good decision that you stayed at home, that you choose to be at home with your sons, that you changed your career, because you have gained something else far more precious than what you had before. Yeah, so
Oh my goodness. Now you just told the entire story. So let me unpack that because it's fantastic. So, first of all, you were mentioning one of the Zen Supermom methods that our coaches are using indeed. And that's meant
yes.
to change the subconscious mind. So many people are often thinking like all the beliefs and who I think I am, and that's the reality, that's the truth. And even though I hate those parts of myself, like as you said, you were already aware that you were a people pleaser, you tried to probably change it, you were not comfortable living that life, but you couldn't. And so often, this is so common for all of the moms who might be watching or listening. It's completely normal to believe that that's who I am, just like that's who I will be for the rest of my life. This is my personality. Nope. There are methods that are rewiring directly in the subconscious mind. And what I love about it so much is that we are not doing hypnotherapy or any of these things where you would be the passive victim, relying on somebody else to help you, not understanding, having no idea what happened, but just somehow miraculously they cleaning up your subconscious mind. That's not what we do. You are an active participant, and that's why it worked so beautifully for you, because as you mentioned, you keep doing this exercise because there are layers and layers and layers. So your coach helped you remove this tree of the people pleaser, but we can talk about it like later on, like how many other layers popped up since then in the last 6 months. And the fact that you know the method and now you're able to execute it yourself, you're able to coach yourself, keep healing yourself. For me, this is the biggest win, because you understood, it clicked, and now you believe you have the power to actually rewrite those patterns that go all the way to your childhood. And this is where I would like to check if you're comfortable talking a little bit, because this is one of the things where so many moms, women in general, and men, we get all tripped up by thinking it's just my life, because this is how my life is. It's because of how my kids are, how my work is, what my situation is, what my parents are doing right now, or what's like the weather is, what my hormones are, and they just blame it on the current external situation, like it's the fault of the world. This is why I'm the victim, and I know I'm not perfect, but I cannot change it because it's their fault. While what one of the biggest aha moments that we are giving our clients is actually
It's
no,
me, mommy.
there is a lot
It's me, mommy.
you can do. And hi there, I see
Mommy,
little
excuse
hand.
me.
It's okay.
Here's something.
Thank you. Can you go to Ninang first, please? Then
Yeah, but
okay.
yeah, but
Is it fine?
yeah, but
You see, now
can
you
you
see
grab
Zen
a piece of
Supermom in
water for
action
me?
because she puts her child first and she does it so well without being annoyed, without getting stressed out, without pushing the child away. She just gave him her attention and the kid is okay and happily ran off. Beautiful.
You gave me a pizza.
Oh, so cute. Taking care
You
of
just gave me a
mama
pizza.
to make sure mama eats. Is it your dinner time, mama? Aw,
Not yet. It's four
almost.
in the afternoon. I ordered pizza for everybody so they can
Oh, so
enjoy outside.
cute. So cute. Okay,
Okay.
this cuteness. I just need to recenter now. Okay, what were we talking
Okay.
about? Yes, that it's all connected with actually where is it? Where was it connected for you? To the extent that you're comfortable sharing. Because you
All
as
right.
well realize like this is not just happening to me now. I'm not the victim of what's going on right now. It actually started much earlier.
Yeah. So, much of my trauma actually had something to do with abandonment issues I discovered. I was raised in a Christian household and I was raised by my grandparents and they were fantastic. They embody gentle parenting and they're 100%, a-okay for me. But then my mom, because of course I think her childhood trauma as well was jumping up at that time, seeing that I prefer my grandparents more than her. My affection were mostly toward my grandparents. Um, she got to the point wherein probably she was feeling a little bit jealous. And so she decided to, just pack up and transfer. Look for a separate apartment and the two of us will be living there together. And she had this new boyfriend at that time. And so I was, at that time, I didn't want to go with her because I wanted to stay with my grandparents. And then she would put some, words here and there, threats like, okay, so if you don't want to come with me, um, you will soon discover that I'll be in the morgue and you will just find me there. I was 6 or about 7 years old at that time, and somebody is like talking to me about morgues, which I did not know at that time. Yeah, and she would like, if she would ask me to go sleep in her room, and I don't want to sleep with her, I would want to sleep with my grandmother. So she would tell me, "Oh, you see, those corns outside, those plants outside. You would just discover my body there, dead tomorrow. The dogs would just,
Emotional
eat me
blackmail
up
like
and
hell.
everything. Emotional blackmail, like 100%. And for a kid who is like 6 or 7 years old, it's too much. At that time, I would not believe her. Like I know in my mind I do not believe her because I know it's not possible. But subconsciously, probably my mind would, keep all these information and start, collecting all these thoughts. And so that's where the trauma slowly built bit by bit. And she would there would be a lot of emotional blackmail. There were a lot of stuff like over the telephone. She would call me and then she would just, spit all these things towards me. And then I would, my grandparents would just say, just don't mind it, don't believe it, because, that's not that would be physically impossible, stuff like that. And so I grew up like this, separated from my mom because she went on to transfer to her new apartment and she would you know um come visit me once a month and bring me groceries and make me feel guilty about it because it's like she's still raising me, doing all these stuff for me. Yeah, so it's constantly like that until I was about, 18. I was maybe 16, 17, 18 at that time, where when I gained enough maturity and knowledge to, say, wait, no, you can't blackmail me anymore. You cannot do that to me anymore because, it doesn't carry any weight for me anymore, at least at this age. And so I started detaching myself from all these blackmail, but still feeling guilty. This is where the guilt creeps in because you put boundaries, but then you feel guilty about putting boundaries, right? So it's constantly bugging me because I feel like at that time when I was a kid, I felt like I was not good enough to, for her to stay at my grandparents' house. And she would still go on and look for a new apartment. And, even though I told her that I wanted to stay here, we should stay here. And then she would just, if you want to stay here, just stay here. I will go. And for a kid to feel like that, like, whoa, I really felt like I'm I'm all this. I'm your kid. I'm your only kid, only child. Am I not, good enough for you to stay? Are you just gonna leave me behind? So that was me. It was constantly in my mind growing up, subconsciously. And so that became the foundation of the people pleaser because I have to, perform really well. I have to do all this and have to make this person happy. I have to do all this stuff so that nobody abandons me, so that I will be good enough.
So that was the fear
Yeah.
underneath, that if you're not good enough, if you set the boundaries too strict and they don't like it, that they are going to walk away on you. They will abandon you, just like your mom did.
Yes.
That you were not
Yes.
yourself, by yourself, you're not enough for them to stay. You need to try harder.
Yes.
What a
Yes.
terrible
Exactly.
lie. What a terrible belief to live your life with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Heavy. Yeah. Okay, let's get centered. Let's flip it because we already started talking about how you started healing it in one-on-one sessions, in the mental fitness, realizing it's the people pleaser indeed confirmed.
Yes.
So let's give the relief to anybody who's listening with like just like me with like holding the breath. Oh my goodness, how is this even possible? And is there going to be a happy ending? So everybody just like breathe. We know there's a happy ending because Ruby is sitting here shining like crazy. So let's go then. Let's like please help us stop suffering with you in the past. Fast forward to today. What are the biggest wins you're celebrating? What are all the reasons why you believe you not only managed to stop that generational trauma of not feeling good enough and being like a chronic people pleaser? What are your beliefs really? What is the evidence that you have to know that your sons are not going to suffer through something similar, or that they were not impacted, they are not broken by it, what happened to them when they were younger as you were gone?
Yeah. As I've mentioned earlier, I was barely home, and I kind of recognized the same pattern of abandonment, the feeling of being, not good enough because your mom left you. Maybe it was, to find a new apartment, to live her own life, or maybe it was for a job, to make your lives better. But it's abandonment. Abandonment is abandonment in a kid's mind. So whether it's the same reason that my mom had before, or it was my personal reason, I feel like it was a valid reason for me before. But but for kids, from a kid's point of view, no reason is valid when you are abandoned, when you're left behind. And so I recognized that same feeling. Like, I don't want my sons to grow up just like I did. You know, the constant need to perform well, the constant need to please people so that they won't, dislike you or abandon you or leave you behind. So I had a really great help with my coach because she made me understand that although I was, I grew up like this before, my sons does not they don't need to grow up like this right now, and it stops here, and I have the power to stop it. Yeah. And it's a great blessing too for my grandparents, growing up with my grandparents who were so, they, as much as possible, the impact of the trauma, they kind of cushioned it for me because I think it would have been so much messier if it was not cushioned by my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. And everybody helped. And I grew up way better than, I could have imagined growing up with all these voices in my head. And so I really just want to put value also uh for my grandparents doing what they did for me, because I think that 40% of the trauma, about 40% of the trauma, they took it out. And so that was like a springboard, that it acted like a springboard um right now for me to personally see it like, wait, hold on. So I was already like there, not here, not below, not in the like super destructive state. I was already here because they did some of the work also to cushion the trauma, and that empowered me to see, l- last year, to recognize the pattern and do something about it. And all throughout the healing process, it kind of I was kind of really thankful because I was already there, and it was not too much work anymore as I would have imagined for this kind of situation. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
yeah, it
So
it
where are you
was
now? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, continue. You wanted to add more.
yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so right now I'm in a place where all of these people pleasing voices in my head, they're gone. Well, the reason that I can say that they're gone is my response, my immediate response to some of the, triggers or things. I know they're not the same anymore. Like, why why would I, I was thinking of myself last year or a few years back, and then I was like, I said that? I did that? Oh my gosh. Something like that. And right now, if somebody would tell me, like in a situation where the people pleaser might jump up, I can like feel inside of me. She's just there. She's just okay, tamed, and and very, very secure just below the surface, and not interrupting my decision making. And I can say no. I think that is the most powerful thing right now. I can say no. Because before I would, cater to everybody's needs. I never said no before.
Can
But
you
right
remember the
now I
last
can
time you said no that previously you would have struggled with? Can you remember some specific situation?
um I can't right now. It's something
It becomes
like
natural.
a
You're not even
daily.
noticing it now.
Yes, yes. I can't even really like pinpoint it anymore, but I just feel this inner peace that if I say no, it's okay because that's my boundary. And that goes beyond my boundary, that goes beyond my belief. And I have the option to say no, so why not use it? So sorry, I can't. I don't want to do it. Or, we can go find somebody else to do it. Something like
And
that.
there's no more
Yeah.
guilt behind that. Beautiful. How about your sons? What is the impact that you've seen on them over the last 6 months?
Well, with David, he's 9 years old, and he received the most. He was the one who cried on his pillow when I left, and right now he's much happier. And I have noticed that with David, because he's a sweet boy. He's very expressive, and you know, he would like do simple things like get you a glass of water. He would notice everything, and he would just do it for you. Um, I have noticed that David had become more expressive now with words, not just with actions. But right now he would open up more to me. He would tell me stuff that before he would probably think twice to tell me because mm, maybe the reason would be I'm always tired when I'm home, and I'm shut down from the world because whenever I'm home it's my time to rest, and then 2 days after I will fly out again, so I need all the rest that I can. It's like I'm barely there. So he would not tell me stuff, personal stuff, and but right now he would just would spend hours talking. And yes, he would, share some stuff that would, we could consider, intimate for him, like his feelings and his insecurities, like, well, not insecurities, but questions about life, about death, about all these stuff. And I sometimes I would just blink and realize that he's just 9 years old. I felt like I was talking to what, a teenager, a 15, 20 year old, grown up person. And
Yeah.
he would talk about all these mature stuff with me right now. And well, I found another best friend.
Wise beyond
Mm.
his years. And this is often what happens. The moms who are not available emotionally for their kids, the kids either go to two extremes. Either they start showing the negative behavior, negative, because at least that gets the negative attention, at least in some way. It kind of like shakes up the parent to like, hey, wake up, pay attention, I'm here. In the negative way, what you're describing is the opposite extreme, is the kids just like you then who start tiptoeing it around their parents and who feel like I cannot tell mom anything else because she's already so overwhelmed and shut down. If I add one more problem, one more challenge, if I put my emotions on her, she's going to break and she's going to lose it, and that's too dangerous, too risky. I can't do that. I have to keep it for myself. So you're absolutely right. The fact that he switched from keeping everything to himself to feeling safe, and he's feeling you being strong enough to handle whatever questions he just throws your way, whatever emotion or challenge, or like 20-year-old wondering about death and stuff. Now he feels it. He feels it in your energy, and in his subconscious mind registered and picked up on that, that now you're strong enough and you can hold safe space for him to just show up the way he is. So this is so fantastic. This is so beautiful. Congratulations,
Yeah. And
Supermom. This is how
thank
you're
you.
healing not just yourself, not just his generation, like not just him and his brother, but you're raising a wonderful partner and husband for somebody one day, wonderful father. Because him being able to be connected with his emotions and be able to talk about it for hours, even as a 9-year-old, I mean, like, hey, ladies, isn't that our dream? Having emotionally available partners who are not suppressing their emotions and then either angrily, like, shout it out or avoidant, the type that runs away whenever things get tough. Isn't that what we want? Emotionally available men who feel confident and strong enough just to say it as it is so that we can work it through. This is fantastic. This is indeed
Yeah.
such a beautiful example, and thank you so much for sharing your story here because you're exactly showing how it looks like when you heal the generational trauma and rather than continuing the spiral down and keep like the domino of trauma and not good enoughness and emotional shutdown falling from one generation to the other, you healed it. You were like, no, it stops with me, not anymore. And now it's going upwards, the spiral, because your healing impacts your sons and they will have a ripple effect through the people they meet and the people they will support and they will heal. So, oh my goodness. Hallelujah. This is so amazing. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Ruby. Thank you so much for sharing so openly. I would have last question, just like open space for you to share anything you feel is important part of your story or message that I didn't ask you about and you feel like it's important to say it out there or anything that any advice or sharing that you would have for the younger you like 6 months ago, 2 years ago. Open question, whatever you feel like is still important to share, please.
Um, well, maybe a message to whoever is listening. Um, it is a struggle whenever, you feel all these things, all these voices in your head. It is a struggle. And for me, my struggle was so debilitating. And I recognized the same struggle being reflected on my son already. The tiptoeing attitude, him becoming a little bit like a people pleaser, just like me, you know. And so the question is, are you okay with staying, in that exact spot? Or will you do something about it? Because what when you recognize the problem, you have the responsibility to go for a solution. And in my case, I did find the solution. I'm so blessed to have found this job with a solution in a small package along with this job. But um to whoever is listening right now, you know, probably it's about time to go look for a solution already. If you feel all these things, because I believe that um, all of us, we somehow, one way or another, encounter things or we have heard things in our childhood that would, put trauma in us, little dots in us. And we have to deal with all these stuff growing up. And so when we become adults, these traumas, they would grow into something else. They would grow with us. So we need to cut them at the source, at the base, because we don't need them anymore. My coach would tell me, you know, it's okay. It's normal for us to have all of these stuff, baggage, whatever you want to call it, because at some point in our life, they were helpful to us because, we were being disciplined, we were being, taught right versus wrong. But then you're already a grown up. You don't need all these things anymore because you already know what is right, what is wrong, and you're mature. So you don't need to carry all of these stuff anymore because it's pulling you back, it's holding you back, and it's um beginning to transfer itself like vines to your kids. and you wouldn't want that for your kids. You really won't, because it was difficult for you. It will be more difficult for them. Yeah. So yeah, I really, really hope that my life story, my experience, my healing would become your healing as well, because it's a really freeing emotion. It's a refreshing feeling to finally be out of all your childhood baggage, traumas, whatever you want to call it, all these stuff that you've been carrying since childhood. It's it's a fresh start, and it's a lighter version of you. So we would want that for you as well.
So beautiful. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart,
Thank
Ruby.
you.
Thank you for all your courage to even come and speak up in such an open, honest, heart-centered, heart-shining way. Thank you so much. I couldn't be happier for you and your kids. And
Thank you so
anybody,
much.
if you were touched by Ruby's story, you can just go and reply to any of our social media posts that you will see, because it's Ruby who's posting it. So she's going to see your message, especially underneath this podcast and whatever you're going to create, whatever reels and posts and carousels you're going to create from this podcast episode. Whenever you want to get in touch with Ruby and let her know how much her sharing helped you, just comment or send Ruby a message. I'm sure you would love to hear the ripple effect that you're creating here. Thank you so much. And
You.
Super Moms, we are going to see you in the next episode of the Zen Supermom podcast. Keep healing. It's not your fault how you ended up here, but it is your responsibility to heal it for you, for your kids. So thank you, Ruby, for sharing your example on how it's done and how powerful it is. Thank you so much.
Yes.
See you in the next
Thank
episode,
you.
Super Moms.